March 19th, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 68 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and Dr. Mike, welcome back.
Hello.
You went on a Vegas trip here last weekend?
Yep, got back late Sunday.
Good. So we're going to be talking about that quite a bit on this episode. But let's jump into some housekeeping. We want to talk about our app just for a little bit and kind of the course that this app has taken. Initially, we were sort of encouraged to create an app for the show for a couple of reasons. Number one, to kind of get more listeners. Like, there are a lot of people who still don't know what podcasts are, right?
Right.
But they know what an app is for their mobile device.
Right.
So, maybe if they're going through and looking for some kind of app, they would find our show, download the app, and then start listening to it.
Yeah, and then figure out what a podcast is.
Right. Or they wouldn't even need to. It's just, I've got this app. It's these two guys who talk about gambling, right?
Oh, sure.
They wouldn't even know. And the other reason was to maybe make a little money on the side. So we went ahead and we...
a little money.
Yeah, exactly.
A little is the right word.
We went ahead and moved forward with the app. And the company that hosts our podcast, Libsyn, they were the ones who created the app for us. Well, one thing that was pretty disappointing once we saw this app, especially for iOS devices, was it wasn't like a standalone app. You had to download this podcast box app, and then we were within that app. And it just wasn't very intuitive. It was kind of a hassle to download.
Yeah, I don't think anyone liked that.
No, the interface wasn't good. So I was, it's like, oh gosh, that's too bad. But we'd already committed to it, and we thought, well, okay, let's move forward, and we'll add some extras to the app that you wouldn't be able to get with, just the regular show, some bonus audio and the TV listings and what have you. So, yeah, as you mentioned, we were not making money off of this thing, really. I mean, it was, minimal.
And that's not really our goal, to make money,
it wasn't,
by the way.
No, it wasn't our goal. I really wanted to get the app out there in hopes of kind of getting more listeners out of it.
Sure.
Right. But anyway, we moved forward with it. Well, Libsyn, just like this last week, announced that they're going through kind of a renovation of their apps.
Okay.
And they're redoing everything, trying to make everything better. But in order to keep the app a paid entity, we would have to pay a fee every month to kind of keep it that way. And listeners would have to, re-download stuff and kind of go through
a bunch of hassle.
Some hoops. And, just the fee that we would have to pay per month would not be offset by how many apps we sell.
Right.
Right. So they said that if you don't want to move forward with this, you don't want to pay the fee, then the app, they said in April, will just become free.
Okay.
So the app will still exist, but it will still become free. And so we've decided that's what we're going to do. We're just going to let the app become free. It's not going to be a paid app anymore. And so, again, this is supposedly happening in April, so don't go out and buy the app right now. It's probably something you still have to pay for. Right. So we want to encourage people not to buy our app at this point.
The last, 10 days of this month.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it will eventually become free. And as a result, we're no longer going to do the bonus audio. Okay. Because there's really no point with, since it's a free app.
We'll incorporate all those stories into our regular podcast.
Yeah. And it's true. Sometimes you and I, well, number one, sometimes we'd struggle to kind of come up with bonus audio topics. Right. And number two, sometimes we'd actually use stuff in the bonus audio. We're thinking, gosh, we should have used that on the regular show. Sure. Right. More people could have listened to it. So, no more bonus audio. And then this was just a coincidence. On the last episode, I was talking about making the TV listings free. And that was before I even found out about this whole app change. Right. So it's sort of a moot point now. I have made the TV listings free. If you go to our website, youcanbetonthat.com, there's now a link that says TV listings, so everybody can see it. So that is now free.
Good.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, we won't really be just supporting the app anymore, but the app will exist, and you'll still be able to get, all the episodes off of it and, contact us directly through the app, but we're not going to be adding any additional extra content to it.
Good.
Having said that, we absolutely want to thank everyone who did buy the app.
Yes,
we really do
appreciate it.
appreciate it. And hopefully, you got something out of it, during that time listening to the bonus audio and the TV listings.
And since we're not going to make our fortune with an app,
Yeah.
then I'm going to have to go back to the old fashioned way of making money.
And how do you do that, Dr. Mike?
Bet the hard 6 and hard 8.
Yeah, nobody can argue with that.
Yeah, bet 6 and hard 8. And if that doesn't work out, I'll just continue working 14-hour days.
Okay, yeah, either one.
So, either one.
Make a chart.
Yeah, I'll see which turns out better for me.
Yeah. All right, so we're a little late to the table on this. Most listeners have probably heard that the IRS is actually proposing that the amount in winnings that you have to report to the IRS through a W-2G be reduced from $1,200 to $600. Okay.
Now that's winnings on like a slot machine.
Right, a slot machine,
It's not a table game winnings.
only if it's like one of those bonus bets that pay
right.
like more than 300 to 1.
Right.
Something
so
like
just
that.
if you hit $1 video poker and you get 4 aces.
Right, it's more
You're going to get, $800 or something. You're
Right.
going to have to report that.
Right, that's it. It's
ridiculous.
mostly for slots. Yeah, they're talking about reducing this. I'm not generally a cynical person. I don't know if that's the right adjective.
See, I am. Okay.
But as somebody who's not terribly cynical, this is so incredibly stupid.
Yes.
Reducing it from $1,200 to $600. It's been $1,200 for like 20 years. If anything, they should be increasing this amount.
Yeah. Well, we got that $1 trillion in debt. How many trillions is it now? And this is how we're going to make it up.
Maybe.
We're gonna, some guy who used to run a casino is now running the IRS, and his idea is I'll tell you what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll just get more money from those people.
What I'll do, I will post a link to where this proposal was posted on the Federal Register. Okay. And they're actually accepting public comments up through June 2nd of this year. And you can do it either, mail something, or you can do it electronically. Again, I'll post a link to this.
I can't do that.
You can't do it?
No, I can't. My comments would be so vile. I'll get on a list. I'll get audited every year for the rest of my life. The CIA will probably keep tabs on my movement.
I don't know if you can do it anonymously or not through electronically. I haven't gone through it. But,
there's no such thing as anonymous.
That's true. Yeah.
And my comments would be, they would not be good. Let's put it that way.
Well, let's just encourage everybody to go to the page and, put their comment on there. They're going to have a hearing about it on June 17th. Honestly, I don't think there's any way this is going to go forward. I mean, it's too much of an opposition to it. Yeah. Because think about all the slot machines that are already set at a maximum jackpot of $1,199, right? To get around the taxes, right? I mean, suddenly those, do you have to reprogram everything, make it $5.99 or, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, the IRS probably doesn't care what the comments are or what the opposition is. They're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I can't see this going going.
My God, we worry about so many things. I'm worried about bird flu.
Uh-huh.
I'm worried about getting shingles.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And now I got to worry about the IRS. It's not enough to have ISIS and Taliban.
Uh-huh.
Now we got the IRS.
Yeah. Well,
we've always had them.
Yeah,
but
we've always been
they're
worried
worse
about
now.
them. Yeah.
Now they hit me hard. They hit me where it counts.
Yeah, because you're winning $600 jackpots all the time.
All the time, day and night. That's what's supporting this podcast.
That's right. Hey, excited about March Madness?
I am very excited.
This is the best. We talk about it every year, but here we go.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best tournament.
Yep.
Right? It's the best sporting event, I think.
Yeah.
I was reading an article where
yeah.
people were saying they like this more than the Super Bowl.
Oh, of course.
What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's different because the Super Bowl is just a concentrated, 4 hours. Everybody watches
it's
it once.
4 hours.
Right?
Everyone watches it. You go to some party. You can't hear the game because everyone's talking.
Yep.
You pick up somebody's kid. The kid pees all over you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You put him down. You stink like urine the whole game, and then your team loses.
Yeah, but this is just over, a 3-week period.
Right.
It's tons of games.
Tons of games.
Yeah.
You can spend a whole day on a Sunday ignoring your family and watching basketball.
Yep, it's great. Well, we are in a pool that we do every year that's a completely random pool, and I run it. And so there are 8 entries into this pool, and I always let everybody else pick first.
You always pick last. We randomly decide who's going to pick, but Mark always picks last.
I always go last because I figure, I'm running it. I want to make sure everything's on
I appreciate that. I've said that before. It's very fair of you.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So I got Kentucky.
You get Kentucky. Everyone missed Kentucky.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I turned over my little card. And there it was, Kentucky.
And he also got San Diego State. Which, us being from San Diego. Not that that's a good pick. It's just fun to have your local team.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's funny because now, San Diego State, neither one of us went to state.
No.
But it's the only Division I school in the area, right?
Well,
is USD?
No, USD's Division I.
USD's Division I?
Yeah,
okay.
they're Division I too. But it's the bigger school.
Yeah, definitely. It's absolutely the bigger school.
And people always ask me, because I wear San Diego State shirts. You went to state? No. But, I grew up in the area.
Oh, sure.
And we grew up in, just a few miles from state.
You and I both went to UC San Diego, but both my parents went to state. My wife went to state.
Yeah, my wife went to state.
Yeah, so, we definitely have an interest in it. So, but, March Madness, here we go.
Yeah, I'm always rooting for upsets.
Of course, everybody
Even
is,
teams that I have in the pool, I'd like to see upsets.
Sure.
But, Kentucky looks really, really strong.
Yeah.
Going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. We got an email from listener Todd that I thought was kind of an interesting advantage play that he told us about. I'm going to read it here. We were staying at Mandalay Bay, and at the Players Club desk, there was a brochure for strategy/win cards and free, in quotes, chips. You would pay $20 in cash and get these strategy cards, along with $30 in free play chips. The cards are kind of cool. They are little whiz wheels for basic strategy at blackjack and pay tables for craps and roulette. Anyway, the $30 in replay was really what I wanted. These were non-cashable chips, which you have to play, but the good news is the dealer doesn't take the free play chips when you win. You keep winning off the chips until you lose them. Maybe other M-Life properties have the same program, I'm not sure, but for someone who just wanting a shot at some table game action, it's a pretty good deal. Yeah, and it's important.
It's a great deal.
This is a
really
good deal. Now, if it were the kind of chips where they'd take them win or lose, then it'd be a terrible deal.
Right, it'd be a terrible deal, right?
But yeah, the fact, as long as...
Let me get this. So for $20, you get $30 in chips.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And they act just like a regular bet.
Yes,
exactly.
It
acts like a regular chip.
Yeah.
Well, how could someone lose at this?
Well, obviously in the short run. In fact, I think Todd actually did lose.
Oh, okay.
But, you're talking about the EV. It's absolutely a positive EV, especially if you're playing a low house advantage bet
you
like
play
blackjack.
Basic strategy. You play blackjack with basic strategy.
Sure.
Or just take your bets and put them on the pass lane. You still probably got a positive EV.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, what I don't understand is there a limit to this?
It's probably a one-time thing. That's what I would
do
guess.
It once?
That's my guess. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to get a big old stack of 20s.
No, I imagine it's probably something you just do once.
Just once.
So it's not like it's a huge advantage play, but it's an advantage play, and it's something I hadn't heard about before.
Well, and if you're, you're at the property, you might as well take advantage of it.
Sure, exactly,
right?
if you're already there. So.
Gosh, and I was just at Bellagio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this last weekend.
Right. That's an M-Life property.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
So again, Todd, he found this at Mandalay Bay. So it's unclear if it's at every M-Life property. Yeah. All right, let's jump to our voicemail hotline. Remember, give us a call on our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll use your call on the show. Let's hear from Steve.
Hey, guys, this is Steve from New York. I was just driving home and listening to your most recent podcast. I just want to give you a quick follow-up. As far as the roulette bets go, normally what happens is you have an inside bet, and the total of those inside bets have to at least be whatever the minimum bet is at the table. And then if you do the outside bets, each outside bet individually has to be the table minimum.
Yeah, so...
and that's what we always thought.
Yeah, and we probably didn't make that clear. We hesitated on the last episode because you and I were at Caesar's Palace, right? And the dealer very clearly said to us, oh, here's the nice thing about playing roulette at Caesar's, is that if you at least have the minimum on an outside bet, there's a $5 minimum table. So as long as you have like $5 on red, then you can bet any amount on the inside bets, even if it's less than the minimum.
Because I think that table, the minimum was 10. So
was it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 10. And she was telling us that you could put 10 on red.
Yeah.
And then you could put like $3 on the inside if you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's where we were like, well, we hadn't heard that before, but that's a great rule.
Yeah, and she made a point. Oh, yeah, only at Caesars. So she goes on break.
Right.
And so I actually do that. I have like $10 on red, and then I made like $2 on an inside bet. No,
and
she said,
security came over.
Yeah, she said, you can't do that. And I said, well, the previous dealer said we could.
Yeah.
So she called the pit over, and the pit, no,
it's got to be, which is what we always thought it was.
Yeah, and they were trying to, give us explanations like, well, you have. I said, no, I understand that's usually the rule. It's just that your last dealer told us the opposite.
Right. And probably what it was is she is really the person running all the Caesars properties, and that's what's happened.
It was undercover boss.
Yeah, it was undercover
She didn't know
boss.
what she was doing.
Right.
That's right.
She's actually the CEO, even though it's a man disguised as a woman, and is like, oh, no wonder we're going bankrupt.
And it's funny because then when she came back off her break, she was kind of backpedaling like she hadn't told us anything wrong. And,
she was all confused about.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, that is correct. The minimum, when you go inside, the total of the inside bets has to be at least the minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it all in one place, but it has to add up to the minimum.
Yeah.
And since you guys like to tell stories, I got a interesting little roulette story. I was in Atlantic City. This is going back probably 4 or 5 years. I don't remember what casino I was at, but I was playing roulette, sitting there with my wife, and this older couple had come up, and they stood there and they watched for a few minutes, and then the wife says to the husband, she goes, all right, guys, she goes, put it out there. So they take a single $100 chip and they put it on the number 35. And I'm just watching, and sure enough, 35 comes up. So they get a nice $3,500 hit, and everybody's cheering at the table for them. And afterwards, I asked the woman, I said, just out of curiosity, what made you put, the $100 on the 35? And she said, well, she goes, we've been married for 35 years. And she goes, every year on our anniversary, we go to a place, whether it be Vegas or Atlantic City for our anniversary, and we always put $100 on the number of years that we've been married. And I said, that's pretty neat. I said, how many times have you hit it? And she goes, we've hit it 5 times. And I don't remember the math on it, but $15,000 somewhere around there, probably actually a little more, $17,000. And I thought that was really cool. And actually, I've been doing that every year with my wife. I haven't won yet, but one of these days I will. So I just want to share that story with you guys. All the podcast guys do a great job. Look forward to it every week. You guys have a good day. Thanks.
Yeah, I love that story.
That's a good story, huh?
It's a great story.
Yeah.
I tried that prior to getting married. I would just bet 0. And then if I was really depressed, I'd bet double 0. I hit it a couple times.
A few times? Good.
Couple times.
How much you put down on it?
$100. Yeah, I was like, well, I'm really depressed. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm not married. I'll bet double 0. And yeah, I did it a couple times.
Oh, nice.
Now that I'm married, I got to try that.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Now,
maybe I will every time with my wife.
Yeah.
I'll go and I'll start at 1.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's been much longer.
Right.
I'll just start at 1 because we'll catch up quickly.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Like every time you go.
Yeah.
I was going through the math here. So yeah, if they actually won 5 times out of those 35 years, their winnings would be about $17,000 minus all the losing. Yeah, the net is plus $14,500.
So they're winning once every 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. And then I assume, once they celebrate their 36th anniversary, they just get divorced.
Yeah, I guess
because there's only 36 numbers right out on the table.
What do you do after that?
Nothing. You get divorced and marry somebody else and start again.
Over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your reason to the judge. I understand. Annulled. This is annulled. It's not even a divorce. It's just annulled.
It makes sense. I guess they could switch over to Keno. Right, because there are 80 numbers there, right? Maybe just bet.
And they're probably not going to be married 80 years. I mean, they could be. Theoretically,
it's very possible. Yeah, exactly. And maybe just bet on a single number. I guess you'd have to bet more to make it pay out, like $500 on just a single number. Anyway, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of roulette, so on the last episode, you were asking, okay, how many different types of bets are there at the roulette table? And I was saying, well, there aren't really that many different types of bets because, a red bet is pretty much the same as like an odd bet. You're betting on half of the field, right?
Right.
So then we were thinking, okay, what are absolutely the number of completely unique bets on the table, right? So betting on a single number, there'd be 38 of those, right? And like betting
What
on,
about 000?
yeah, 38. There are 36 numbers.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Plus
you're
the
counting
0 and the double
Okay,
zero.
okay,
Yeah, 38.
38.
Or, how many different ways are there to bet on two numbers? You can bet on, 2 and 3, or you can bet on
0 and double
0 and double zero. Right, exactly. So anyway, I added them all up.
I'm really stuck on this 000.
Yeah, well, you felt that way
Yeah.
for many years.
For many years.
Yeah, I'm a zero. And no, Mike, you're a double zero. But I added them all up. I went online to the Wizard of Vegas to have them check my numbers here, and I came up with 161 different wagers.
Okay.
I actually, the first time I did it, I came up with 162 because I was counting the snake bet.
Okay.
That's that bet, that kind of snakes around.
Looks like a snake.
It follows all the red numbers around,
Yeah.
but that's not really an official wager on the table. So not counting the snake bet, 161 unique bets on the table.
Maybe we should, when we're in Vegas next time, see what places have a snake bet, have an official snake
Actually
bet.
have it on the layout.
Have it on the layout, yeah.
We should start looking for that. Or just go up to the table and say, hey, do you allow somebody to make a snake bet? And,
right.
where would you
I
put it? Would it be right in that
Right.
corner right there? Or,
I heard that Riviera had snake bet,
Uh-huh.
but it's going to be blown up. So
Yeah, that's right. Well,
it's probably the end of it.
Speaking of which, let's move on to your trip. You can talk about it.
Okay.
How was the Riviera? What did it look like? Did you get a good feel for, the mood there and everything and, the history and everything behind it? Tell us about it.
Okay, well, I didn't go to the Riviera.
I knew it.
I did not go. I talked about it. We actually talked about it.
Uh-huh.
And no, I'm serious. We talked about it.
All right.
And we thought, oh yeah, we should go down there. And then everyone looked at each other like, why?
Well, because it's your last time, right? Everybody in that group.
I want to have fond memories of the Riviera. I don't want to go and see it's all run down and how decrepit it is.
Yeah.
I want to have that nice, sweet spot in the back of my brain where I remember how great the Riviera was.
Gosh, I don't remember much about the Riviera.
Well, no, it always sucked. I'm just saying that to get out of this.
All right, okay.
It's kind of like Desert Inn, I have that fond memories of the Desert
Boy,
Inn.
I'll tell you, every time we went to the Desert Inn, wasn't it a ghost town?
Oh, it
in
was
that
always
casino?
dead.
It was
Well,
the strangest thing.
Well, it was because it's high limits.
It was super high limits, yeah.
It was super high limits, and
nobody was there,
and it wasn't a happening place for anyone young.
No.
I mean, you had to be like 60 and above to play at the Desert Inn.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, tell us about your trip.
Okay. Well, we got there Friday night. Everything went good. The plane left on time.
Good.
Got there on time. The limo driver was there picking us up.
Good.
Real nice guy. Took us to Caesars.
Uh-huh.
We went in and, we were getting in kind of late, but we really hadn't had an official dinner.
Yeah.
So we went over to
Gordon Ramsay
eat at
Pub.
Gordon Ramsay Pub.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the service was very slow. Very slow. The food was excellent.
Okay, good.
Got a corned beef sandwich.
Oh, good.
Since it, was kind of close to St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
And that was excellent.
Good, okay.
The service was very slow, though. And I don't know why. They weren't that busy.
Yeah.
The casino was busy because all the Justin Bieber people
Oh, that's
were there.
right. You were there the same weekend as Justin Bieber's birthday party.
Yeah, we almost saw him, by the way.
Uh-huh.
On Saturday night, during his party, they had an area roped off where he was going to go, and all the media, it was a media circus.
Yeah.
And they were all lined around there to take his picture, and, all the major media like TMZ, things like that were there.
Yeah.
And we actually had a pretty good spot standing there. We just happened to be walking by. And I asked somebody and they said, well, they don't know when he's actually coming. It could be, and I'm like, I'm not standing here for that.
Yeah.
If he was going to come in the next minute or two, maybe I'd stay. So we left.
Yeah.
But anyway, there were a lot of young teeny bopper girls there.
Yeah.
21, 22-year-old girls.
Yeah.
But anyway, we ate at Gordon Ramsay, and then, being that it was, getting kind of late, we walked around a little bit and everyone went to bed except me.
Yeah.
Who ended up staying up till 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. playing craps.
Okay.
And actually did quite well.
Good.
Ended up winning for the night. Not a lot, but I was ahead $300 or $400.
Good.
And while I was playing, one of our good listeners, Greg, showed up.
Oh, yeah. We played with him out here, and you played with him in Vegas before. Uh-huh.
Yep. Uh-huh. And he actually won about $300.
Oh, good.
Greg made note, and I think he tweeted you about this, that the best way to play craps is drunk.
Uh-huh, sure.
And sure enough, he did win, and he was drinking pretty heavily,
Uh-huh.
and it seemed to be working. So,
Good.
I didn't follow his lead, but I still ended up winning anyway.
And I think he hit a little bit of a jackpot on a video poker machine after you guys left,
after he
yeah.
left, he tweeted and he hit a jackpot on video poker.
Yeah.
So, there is something to be said about that drinking thing.
Yeah,
as long as you can stay civil. And I'll get to that later in the trip, a non-civil story.
Okay, very good.
So then that's how that night ended. And then, I should mention that we... on Friday night at Caesar's Palace, they had one $5 craps table. They had several $15 craps tables.
So they had at Caesar's on a Friday night, they had a $5
on a
craps
Friday
table.
night,
Really?
they had a $5 craps table. It was packed.
Yeah.
And the people I was with aren't craps players, but they wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. But there's no way we could get on.
That's really something.
Yeah.
Caesar's Palace Friday night. I mean, it's hard to find a $5 table at any casino on a Friday night.
And they were all saying when we got there, when we checked in, the concierge guy came out and met us at the curb, took us and checked us in right away. And he said, oh, yeah, it's just crazy this week. And it was the Justin Bieber thing, but it was also, people were there for the NCAA tournament. It was all the conference championships and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was talking about, every room's full and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And a $5 table.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. And there were a lot of $15 tables.
Okay. Well.
So there were only a couple 25 or higher. But anyway, so that's how Friday night ended. And then Saturday, we got up fairly early, actually. And the rest of my group, the other 5 people, all got massages and haircuts and pedicures and manicures and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I went to the craps table.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I played craps pretty much all morning. And we had like a kind of like an early lunch because that evening we had dinner reservations at Giada De Laurentiis's place over at the Cromwell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of had an early lunch. And we just got a real quick thing at Payard's, I think it's called. It's like a little French quick sandwiches and treats and stuff.
Yeah.
That place is good.
Oh, good.
God, they have good sandwiches there. Highly suggest that.
Okay.
Good sandwiches, not too expensive. And they make crepes with all these berries on it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. They make those all day long.
Okay.
So not just for breakfast. They're wonderful.
Good.
But anyway, we're sitting there and then I had been talking to Mark on the phone and San Diego State was playing Wyoming for the conference championship.
Right.
And State was -6, Wyoming +6.
And we were talking about, oh yeah, Mike, you need to go bet on San Diego State.
Yeah, we're
and,
San Diego State fans.
Yeah.
And had San Diego State been playing like Boise State, State might have not been favored and I would have bet on State.
Yeah.
But because Wyoming was the underdog and I was getting 6 points, I took Wyoming.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because if Wyoming loses the game, but loses by less than 6 if it's close, I win my bet.
Yeah.
And I'm happy San Diego State won.
Right. Which very well could have happened.
Very
right?
well.
State
I mean,
wins by less than
that
6.
would have been the most likely scenario, actually. Yeah. If Wyoming actually outright wins the game, I win my bet. I'm not too happy for State, but I win my bet.
Yeah.
And if State blows away Wyoming, I lose my bet, but I'm happy State won.
Yeah.
So, in any circumstance, I'm going to be happy about something.
Yeah.
So I went and bet on Wyoming. Turns out Wyoming actually won the game.
Yeah.
So I won the bet. I wasn't too happy that State lost because it really dropped them down in the NCAA tournament to they're like an 8 seed.
Yeah,
they would have been like a 6 seed probably had they won that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a good win.
Good.
I just put $200 down on them.
Good.
So while we were eating at Payard's, I noticed they had this sign up for Jerry Seinfeld.
Right.
Coming to Caesar's.
Yeah, he plays there quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's on the sign, and he's got a cup of hot chocolate on his head.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that poster before.
So
that's like you.
That's like me. Seinfeld ripping me off.
That's right.
Yeah, at a casino with a cup of hot chocolate on his head.
Yeah, longtime listeners will remember that's Mike's key to a good craps roll is to try to balance a cup of hot chocolate on his head. Yeah.
And Seinfeld is doing it on a poster.
Yeah, he's ripping you off.
Yeah. Anyway, so, he's on my list now.
Okay.
I'm coming after you, Jerry.
I think actually it might be coffee that's on his head.
I'm going to go with hot chocolate.
Okay, very good.
I mean, who knows what's in the cup, right? Anyway, so that evening we headed over to Giada at the Cromwell, and we got a nice dinner in a private dining room.
Oh, good.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
The actual restaurant was really busy, but the private dining room was nice and quiet,
Nice.
all to ourselves. It looked like you were in a den. There were books and stuff all around you and everything, and then this table in the middle.
Yeah.
So the 6 of us had dinner there. And I have to say, the food was excellent.
Good. Oh, good.
Really,
That's good to
really
hear.
good food.
Yeah.
We had a ton of appetizers and a lot of high-end items on the menu. Like I had the 23-ounce piece of meat.
Oh, wow.
And that was a hell of a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Bone-in ribeye is what it was, 23 ounce.
Yeah. And this was all part of your 7 stars reward, right? You were getting
it was all
like a free,
part of it.
Okay,
We had $1,800 for dinner. So we all had drinks.
That's how much it cost?
Then that's how much we were allowed to.
Oh, you had
free.
that much credit. Oh,
We had
wow.
that much
okay.
credit.
All right.
So we all got a couple of drinks
Yeah.
and we had dessert and coffee and we had, high end. And it still only came with tip.
Mm-hmm.
With the tip had to be included. With the tip and everything, it was still only like $950. Or
Wow.
something. And I was like, oh my God, we're leaving like $900 on the table, right?
Yeah.
But we couldn't eat another thing
Yeah, sure.
or drink another thing. I mean, we were stuffed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the food was excellent. I recommend that place.
Good. Okay, good.
After the dinner, we wanted to go to see $1 Million Quartet, but it turns out it doesn't play on Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
So instead we went to the Improv Comedy Club at Harrah's. Just a quick, that it's cheap if you're paying.
Yeah.
It's like $40 a person or something. And it's only like an hour and 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So it doesn't take a lot of your time. And it's funny. They have 3 comics. Every week they have new comics.
Okay.
And they were very funny. The 3 of them were funny. There was a woman, and don't ask me the names.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I can find them out. My wife would know. But she was a little on the crude side.
Uh-huh.
But she was, it was funny, but she was a little crude. But the 2 men and the headliner guy, he was hilarious.
Okay, good.
He was really hilarious.
Good.
So we enjoyed that. And then we played to the Cromwell a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I actually played well there. I did win.
Good.
And, I rolled twice. We played a very short time. There was nobody on the table except me. And I only rolled twice. Both times I had 3 numbers to the fire bet and was on my 4th when I 7'd out.
Oh, nice.
And I made a bunch of hard ways and stuff. It was really the only place I really won a substantial amount of money for the weekend.
Okay.
So that was good. I won also playing over at Flamingo, but not quite as much.
Okay.
All my losses were at Caesars.
All right.
So I'll continue to go there, I guess. There was some things that we saw at Caesars that were interesting. Saturday, all day Saturday and into Saturday night, they had 1 table reserved. During the day, I didn't see anyone there, but in the early evening, guy comes up and plays. And I guess he had an accent, and I'm not sure if it was British or Australian, but he definitely had an accent.
Okay.
He was quite a whale.
Really?
Yeah. They told me, one of the dealers told me that he had a $1.8 million line of credit.
Wow. Okay.
With the casino.
Yeah.
And he had several racks full of $5,000 chips. He was only playing with $5,000 chips.
Okay.
And it was quite interesting. His family was playing with him. I assume it was his family.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't playing quite as much. They were playing with hundreds and 500s.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving them money quite a bit. I watched for a while. He had a row of chips on one side of the table and another row of chips on the other side of the table. And he was jumping back and forth, rolling in the same roll. He would roll on one side, and then he would grab the dice on the other side and roll the other way.
Oh, in the middle of the same hand.
In the middle of the same hand.
He must be a whale, yeah.
Yeah, they were letting him pretty much do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
But he seemed very nice.
Okay, well, that's good.
And
that's very good to hear.
He was very happy when he was winning.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed, I was playing on the table next to him. There was one point where he wasn't doing so well, but he didn't look real pissed off or anything.
Good.
He just continued to play. Seemed like a pretty good guy.
Good.
And the dealer said that, they enjoyed dealing to him. He was
good. That's good to hear.
So, yeah. I mean, for somebody throwing around that kind of change,
Yeah.
he seemed like a really nice guy.
Good.
And that was fun to watch. I just got a kick out of, I was playing on the table, kind of watching him play. And then after
you
I
weren't
finished,
on his table, though.
No, I was on
okay.
the table next to his.
Yeah, okay.
But then after I finished and was ready to go to bed, I stood for about 15 minutes and just watched him. And you know what? He had no problem. People kept coming up, I noticed, and would just stop and watch for a few minutes.
Right.
I mean, just standing right next to the table.
Yeah.
Not like, 5 feet away or something. He had no problem with that.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I'm really glad.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Now, there was a guy who came to my table that I was playing on Saturday night, late Saturday night, after midnight. And he bought in for $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a chunk of money.
Yeah.
He was not quite so nice.
Uh-huh.
He was drunk and he had a few other people with him and they were passing drinks back and forth and not on the outside of the table, but over the table.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, oh my God, one of them's going to drop a drink because they're drunk.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to wait a half hour while they clean the table. And it never happened, thank God. But some interesting things. He was standing next to the stick. And when it was his turn to roll, he wanted to shoot from the end of the table, and he had some people move so he could go over there.
Okay.
And everyone had to slide down so he could roll from the end.
All right.
I was pretty pissed off about that at first.
Yeah.
But he had a good roll.
Okay.
So I was thankful he had a good roll. He made several points, and he made me some money. But oh my God. You want to talk about the slowest roller. Yeah. That video that we saw before about the guy, this was nothing compared to this guy.
Really?
This guy was incredibly slow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that he was playing with the dice. It's just they'd slide the dice to him. At one point, he picked him up, sat him down, and then started talking to his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And then talk to her like we were all waiting for him. For at least a minute, he talked to her and was goofing around with her, and then finally, played with the dice a little bit and then threw them. Okay. That kind of stuff. At one point, she had to blow her nose. He made the whole game stop so they could get her Kleenex, and he waited for her to walk away from the table, blow her nose, and come back before he would roll.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he was a piece of work.
Yeah.
He eventually got wiped out. It didn't take that long. And it's funny, he had a good roll and he didn't make any money. He kept pressing everything like crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like, how fast can I piss away $50,000? So, yeah, after his roll, he stayed for like maybe one more roll and then left. And I don't think he took more than 4,000 or 5,000 with him when he left.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So he was a guy about my age. His girlfriend was about 25, maybe.
Sure.
So, and she was nothing. The guys on my end of the table were saying, well, he can get a better girl than that. I mean, she was very plain looking.
Nice, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, well, it's true. That's what they were saying.
All right.
She was nice. She just wasn't, what they thought he should have.
All right.
So that's how Saturday night ended. So I get up Sunday morning. My wife and I got up early. We came down to play about 8:30 a.m. And I had been sick the night before for some reason.
Oh, really?
And I don't think it was Giada because nobody else was sick.
Yeah. I didn't know it started the night before. You texted me Sunday morning and said you weren't feeling very well.
Over the night. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night about, about 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I did not feel good.
Yeah. So you weren't feeling that well. You told me, so I didn't tweet out, what you were doing because you figured you probably wouldn't be very good company.
I had a rough Saturday day.
Oh.
I mean, as far as gambling goes.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have much money and I wasn't feeling well. So I didn't know how much gambling I was going to do anyway.
Yeah.
And it turns out I just did a little, but very little.
Yeah.
My wife and I, anyway, we came down early in the morning and I said to my wife, well, there was an empty craps table. They had two tables. One was kind of half full. The other one was completely empty. So we went to the empty one and I said, let's just shoot a couple hands and see how we do. So her and I were shooting and the dealers were talking to us. Very nice crew. So there's this group of girls playing blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, two of them are like in a fight. And I mean a real fight.
Like a physical fight.
A physical fight where they're pushing each other, grabbing each other's hair. One's trying to take the other one down to the ground.
Really?
They're throwing punches. I mean, and these were maybe 26 to 30-year-old women.
Were they like... what did you say? It was like 8:30 in the morning?
8:30 in the morning.
Had they been up all night, do you think?
Well, it didn't look like it.
Okay.
By what they were wearing, because they were wearing like casual Sunday wear. They weren't wearing like stuff you'd wear on a Saturday night. Girls their age usually dress up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
No, they were wearing very casual wear. So it's like they got up early.
Okay.
Or they just got to town. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, there's like 6 or 7 of them. They're playing. And then all of a sudden, 2 of them are fighting. And the funny thing is the dealers were cracking up.
Yeah.
The dealer said something like, like 5 minutes ago, they were all screaming and yelling when they, would get a good hand or somebody would win. And best of friends. And then they were fighting. Anyway, the one girl who was doing most of the fighting, it turns out they actually called Metro PD to come.
Oh, really?
It wasn't even the security. It was like 3 cops.
Wow, okay.
And, they came, and there was one cop who was younger than the other 2, and he pulled her aside and was talking to her, and we could kind of hear it. It was very close to us.
Uh-huh.
And, he was telling her, you're going to have to vacate the premises, and you're going to blah, blah, blah. She ended up never leaving. She started that fake cry, that you get like when you're on Jerry Springer, and you just get that fake cry. She was doing the fake cry, and her lip was pouty and everything, and it's funny because the lady who was dealing blackjack, the dealer, had to be like in her 70s or more. I mean, she was an old lady. And when the girl finally got everything cleared up and came back to the table, she sat down, and then that dealer gave her a huge lecture about how to act. And,
Nice.
Oh, it was funny. Yeah. And, they were drinking early in the morning. I don't know how drunk they were, but, I assume there was some alcohol involved, because how does it get to that? I mean, unless maybe one of the girls, took the bus card from the dealer when she wasn't supposed to or something.
And they were arguing over that. Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can think would happen in a casino. What else could one woman say to another one to start a fist fight?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know how that happens. Anyway, one thing I didn't tell you, this will be news to you. So while this is all going on, another woman walks to another blackjack table right behind us at Crafts there. And once again, it's like 8:30 in the morning. She's wearing this top with no bra, and it's kind of got straps that come down over her breasts, but don't cover a lot of it.
Oh, is this the nude story now? I was going to ask you if there was some nudity on this trip. Okay.
So anyway, she walks up, and that it's all guy dealers, right? And me and my wife.
Yeah.
And so all the dealers, I would never look, of course.
No, of course. But neither would I. We're both married.
Yeah. But my wife, or the dealers look over there, and my wife looks over it because she wants to see what they're looking at. And it's this woman, and she sits down on the blackjack table, and out flops her boob.
Unbelievable, Dr. Mike. This happens to you every time.
It just flopped right out. There was nothing really to hold it in anyway. She sits down, and the one dealer, his name was John, he said really loud, "And here's the flop." And we laughed so hard.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, "And here's the flop." And we laughed so hard. And my wife turns to him and says, hey, now, don't get too down on us. Some of us older ladies, we can't help it if we flop.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised you didn't tell me that story until now.
I was saving it for this.
Beautiful.
But yep, there was the boob. We saw it just flopped right out, Mark.
Wow. What is it about you, Mike? I don't know.
Unbelievable. At 8:30 in the morning. So one girl fighting, one girl's boob falling out. It was quite a morning.
Nice.
So how did we celebrate? We went to the Bacchanal buffet.
Oh, good.
At
Yeah.
Caesars. When everyone else got up, we went over there and had a nice buffet.
Was it good?
It was actually
we've
good.
We've been there before.
Yeah, I was, not feeling well, so I hardly ate anything.
Yeah.
Guess what it was per person?
Oh, the cost?
Yeah.
How much?
$58.
Yeah. Right.
It was a brunch.
Well, it was Sunday morning, right?
Yeah, it was a brunch. So you got champagne and you got mimosas included and everything. So, they're charging a little more, but I was like, $58.
Yeah.
Now I just put it on my comps, but I mean, I probably ate.
There were 6 of you, right?
There were 6 of us. Yeah. I probably ate $4 worth of food. I mean, seriously, I had a couple of eggs and a few strips of bacon. That was about all I could get down.
Yeah.
But everyone else ate a lot,
good.
Quite a bit. And they have really nice food there.
Yeah.
The only thing I did really enjoy about that buffet, me personally, they had a big jar of saltwater taffy. Man, I loaded up my pockets.
Did you take the whole jar? You should have seen if you could have just taken the jar.
The guy was glaring at me because I was loading a plate up. And he's like, "You're not going to eat that much taffy, right?" Because, who could eat that much taffy?
Sure, right.
So I took it back to the table. I ate about 10 or 12 pieces.
You weren't feeling good, but you loaded up on taffy?
Well, sugar's good for you, right?
I guess you're the doctor.
So anyway, I had, a couple eggs, couple of slices of bacon, and about 12 pieces of taffy. And then I put the rest in my pockets.
Sure.
I had cargo shorts on, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I loaded up. So throughout the day, I could snack on,
Yeah, that's just smart.
They also had a big thing of gummy bears, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how they stay in business. Honestly, I don't.
It's a good question.
So then, after the buffet, we kind of walked around. We went over to Bellagio and we went over to Cosmo because I wanted to show everyone Cosmo. And the guys I were with, they're not craps players, but they really love to shoot to win craps.
Oh, the machines.
Yeah, the machines. We watched that for quite a while.
Good.
And, actually the guy who was playing when we were there was having a great roll.
Nice.
His point was 9 and he must have rolled 15 numbers and then finally made the 9.
Oh, good.
And, we were watching the whole time. It goes slow. So after a while, I'm like, okay, let's go. I mean, I was getting the urge to play.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had a good trip. And then we came home. Everything was right on time.
Good.
So
good. All right. Well, good trip.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is March Madness weekend. I wish we were there right now.
I do too. But, we got lots of work to do this weekend.
No, that's true. All right. Well, good, Dr. Mike. Sounds like you had a pretty good trip.
Good trip. Lost playing craps, but had a lot of fun. Had good company, very good company.
Good.
And I think I ate more on this trip than I've ever eaten total in Vegas.
Really?
Maybe.
Is that true?
It could be.
Wow. Okay.
Could be. I ate a lot.
Folks, that's saying something.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. And we're hoping to do another Ask a Dealer segment. In fact, maybe the next episode we'll do another one.
We should do another
so
one.
if you have any questions for our dealers, let us know. Again, call us or email us. Also, follow us on Twitter at You Can Bet On That. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Anything else to say?
Well, I got a question for you this week.
All right.
So what do you think of fire bet versus the all tall, all small future bet?
Yeah, well, now, I know that you said that you kind of prefer the fire bet.
Right.
I guess the nice thing about the all tall, all small, all everything in the table.
They call them future bets at
They call them future bets. Yeah, okay. That wins more.
It wins more, exactly.
Yeah, right. So,
It
I
is
mean,
nice.
that's one nice thing
It's a
about
lot
it.
lower payout when you do win.
Right.
So
right.
it's kind of not as exciting. But when we were at Bellagio, I'm watching that and I'm watching, it hit a few times.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. But you know what it is too? There's 3 separate bets there. So I end up putting $5 on each of them.
Yeah.
So it cost me 15
Well, see,
versus the fire.
That's so much money, Mike. It's
Yeah.
$5 in each. See, I don't make those bets anyway.
Right.
I mean, I make the fire bet, every once in a while, but I've never bet, that future bet. So,
Right.
yeah, it seems like you can spend a lot more money making those future bets because
You
you're
can
putting
spend
so
a
much
lot
out
more.
there.
Well, and also per roll because
It's not just per shooter. It's
per roll because if a guy makes like 3 numbers and then he hits his point,
yeah.
and then on the come out he sevens out,
Then you
those
lose
go
that.
away.
Yeah, right, and you
and you
gotta
got to put
replace them.
another
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So you could put $30-$40 on one shooter.
Yeah.
Versus the fire bet where you're limited to that $10.
Nah, just stay away from everything, Mike. Just make a pass line bet, come bet. Don't do anything else. Okay.
How are we going to fund ourselves? I need the hard 6 and 8.
Oh, that's right. You did hit a lot of them. All right.
yeah.
Ignore me. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.